In this video, we are going to learn about place value and rounding. So let's begin. So um, this number right here is 8,538,497 and 216 thousandths. So we have all these different place values. So here's the decimal, and it starts with the ones place, and then the tens and the hundreds, separated by a comma, and then you have the thousands. So thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, followed by a comma. Then you've got millions, and after that 10 millions, and then 100 millions, followed by a comma. Billions, 10 billions, 100 billions, so on. So after the decimal, it's not the oneths place, it's called the tenths place. Because you're splitting it up into you're splitting up 1 into 10 equal pieces, and after that it's the hundredths place, and then the thousandths place, and afterward it's the 10,000ths place, the 100,000ths place, the millionths place. Keep going down that way, but we're not going to focus on anything more than 3 decimals. So now we've got some more examples of numbers. We've got this number right here, which reads as 8,000, comma 502, because this section right here is 502, and, which is the decimal, 4/10. And it's 4/10 because it's the 4 in the tenths place. There's only one decimal place, so we would say 4/10. So the next one would be 132. There it is, 132, and decimal 9/100. 9, and it is in the hundredths place, and there are 2 decimal places, so we would say hundredths. So for the next number over here, we've got 94 and decimal place. We've got 3 decimal places, which means it's going to be in the thousands place. So this number right here is 105 thousandths. Next number, which is right here, we would read that as 10,000,005, and then there's like just nothing there except for the 5, and decimal place 12 thousandths. It's 12 thousandths because there are 3 decimal places, and when you've got 3 decimal places, we call that the thousandths. Next number, we've got 5 million, 84, so just the 84, 84,000, because the 84,000 is in the thousands place. So 5,084,000, and decimal point 7 hundredths. And we say 7 hundredths because there are 2 decimal places, so hundredths. So we don't really say anything. So it's 84,000. So 84,000, and we don't say like 0 hundreds or anything. Next section, 107,000. So 107,000 because it is in the thousands section. 30, and decimal point 1/10. All right. So let's go ahead and try writing these words in numerical form. So we've got 24,000. So 24 would be in the thousands place, which is after a comma. 251, and, which means we put a decimal point, 98 hundredths. So 98 hundredths means we should have 2 decimal places, and we do. All right, let's do 16,000. So 16, again, 1,000 in the thousands place. 3, okay? So 3, not 300, but 3. So the next section is just 3. And, decimal point, 6 thousandths. Well, thousandths means there should be 3 decimal places. So it's just 6 thousandths. So you got to have 3 decimal places. You would not put that over here, because if you put the 6 first, this looks like it says 600 thousandths, right? So that's not correct. So we would need to put 006. All right, let's look at the next one. 225. All right, 225, and decimal point 7 hundredths. Hundredths, that is 2 decimal places, right? And they just need 7, not 70, so 07. I should probably And finally, we've got 2 million. All right, that's 2 in the million section. 31,000. Okay, so 31,000. 1,000 is in the next section. And it's not 301, but 31. So how do you write 31 if we've got 3 number places? We would say 0, 3, 1. And it says and, which means a decimal place. So this has to be 31,000, so we still have to add some zeros. And 11 thousandths. Okay, 11 thousandths. Thousandths means 3 decimal places, so we're going to put 11. Put a 0 right there. So there it is. These are our numbers. Let's go to the next page, where we talk about rounding. Now, rounding numbers is a method of estimating or simplifying numbers. Okay? People use rounding all the time in real life. So numbers are rounded down when the digit to the right of the one you're rounding to is 4 or less, and numbers are rounded up when the digit to the right of the one you're rounding is 5 or more. So we'll talk more about this. So look at the number line below. Why would a number like 3.30 be rounded down to 3, while 3.90 would be rounded up to 4? So let's look at the whole numbers. We've got 3 right here, and we've got 4 right there. So the question is, why would a number like 3.3, this number right here, be rounded down to 3, while a number like, let's use red, a number like 3.9 is rounded up to 4? Well, take a look at where 3.3 is. Is it closer to the 3, or is it closer to the 4? It's closer to the 3. Of course. So that's why we would round it down. Now, a lot of times people would say like, oh, well, when you round down, why don't you go down to like, 2 instead of going down to 3? It's because like if you're going down to 3, 3 is already less than 3.3. So that's why it's called, that's why we call it rounding down. It's still, 3 is still less than 3.3. So it is going down. Whereas with a number like 3.9, it's so close to the 4 that you would say, well, so close to the 4, let's just say 4 instead, because it's easier than just 3.9. And then, 3.5 is directly in the middle. That technically we would round it up. Why? Well, I guess mathematicians just decided they wanted it to round it up instead of down. So how might we use some rounding to determine the price of the products below? Is there more than one way to round a number? Well, yeah. If I looked at this cereal for $4.99, I would just say, oh yeah, this cereal is like $5. If I looked at this milk for $3.19, I would just say, oh, the milk is like $3. But some people might say that the milk is like $3.20. And is that a valid way to round the number? Sure it is. When you look at the bananas, you may say, oh, the bananas are $1.60. Or you could say the bananas are, oops, I should say $1.60. Or I can just say the bananas are, pretty close to $2. Or close enough to $2. So if you were buying these 3 things, the cereal and the milk and the bananas, you would say, oh, well, let's see, it's about 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the whole thing is about $10. Or if you want to be a bit more specific, you can say it's 5 plus 320, that's 820, plus 160, that's 920, plus 60, that's 980. So you would say, oh yeah, that's 980. Or you can say it's $10. How much does it matter? Well, kind of depends on the person. Like when we look at this right here, room rental, decorations, food and drink, and we're looking at numbers like this one's 9,805 and 25 cents. This is 581 and 19 cents, and this is 1,839 and 51 cents. It may not make sense to say like, oh, well, the room rental is 9,805 and yeah, 9,805 and 30 cents, because these numbers are so big, rounding it to the nearest tenth of a cent, or even rounding it to the nearest whole number, like 985, may not be all that important. Like 581.19, if I wanted to round it to the nearest whole dollar, that would be 581. And this one, 1,839 and 51, that would be 1,840. And like I said, when the numbers are so big, the dollar amount might not be as important. You could round it to the nearest hundred. So the nearest hundred, so I could say this is, it's about $9,800. And the decorations are about $600. And the food and drink is about $1,800. And if you add those up, because those numbers are easier to add up, it might give you a close enough estimate of what you're looking for. So lots of ways to round it. You don't always round to the nearest dollar or tenth or, whatever. It depends on what you want. So it's our turn. Let's round the number. Let's do these examples and round these to the nearest whole number. So 83.24. How do we round that? Well, we look, I'm going to zoom in. I've got this is the whole number, nearest whole number, and I'm going to look at the number directly to the right of it, 83.24. So is this closer to 83 or is it closer to 84? It's closer to 83. So we'd say our answer is 83. So nearest whole number, we're going to look at that one right there. Is 1.5 closer to 1 or closer to 2? Well, in this case, we're going to say it is closer to 2. This is a whole number. Let's look at that. 7 closer to a 7. It's bigger than 5 or bigger, so we round up. So when we round 19 up, it rounds up to 20. All right. Let's go to the next section. Round these numbers to the nearest tenth. Tenth is this decimal place, the first decimal place. So we're going to look at the number directly to the right. This rounds down, so the 2 stays the same. So this number should be 45.2. Let's look at that. We are going to round up. So this goes from 2.5 to 2.6. Let's look at that one right there. 19 point, is that going to round up to 8 or down to 7? Rounds down to 7. Let's take a look. Let's round these to the nearest hundredths, which is 2 decimal places, right? So we're looking at this right here, and we're going to look at the number next to it. So every number stays the same, 3.2. And is the 4 going to go up to 5, or does it stay at 4? It stays at 4. Second decimal place, let's look at the number next to it. 8.5. Is it going to go up to 9, or stays at 8? It stays, it rounds up to 9. And then now we have this one, 19 and 997 thousandths. This 7 is going to cause this to round up. So if if this rounds up to 10, this goes up also. It's going to cause everything to go up. So, and this one's kind of crazy. So this rounds up to 10, which rounds that up, which rounds this up, which makes this into 2. So this basically just rounds to 20.00. Or you could even just say 20. All right, last section, example 8, round these to the nearest thousandths, which is the third decimal place right here. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to look at the next one over. So 0.24, does it round up from 5 or stay at 5? It stays. 1, 2, 3 decimal places, and we're going to look at the 8. That rounds up, which means this is 1.488, not 887. And finally, 1, 2, 3. One of these crazy ones where it makes everything go up. So this number goes from 9 to 10, which makes this one get bigger, which makes this one get bigger. This turns into 1.000 or just 1. All right. So that is place value and rounding. Go ahead and try some problems on your own. Good luck.